Hey, what's good, bro? This app takes so long to load. Come on, man. What time is it? 6:43. I feel you, bro. Hey, same thing, man. Same thing. Working my ass off too, bro. I keep forgetting you on that goddamn Hawaiian time. um, I think I done worked my way up to a promotion. We'll see as of July the 1st. We'll see, man. I may be getting a new title or something. That's all we can do, man. Take your ass to work. Take your ass home. Save up that money and go have some fun with your family whenever you can. What happened? They said they got me. Oh hell. What happened, bro? Hmm? The minus 900. Minus 900 what? Oh, hell no. Oh, hells no. Oh, hell no. But I'm out for blood. Somebody, oh my God. Oh, hell no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. You ain't about to take all my little bit of change and put me $900 in the hole. Oh, boy, hey, I got to see some blood. Oh, hey man, it may sound extreme. I'm about to stick a motherfucker. Boy, I got to see some blood. Oh, hell to the nah. I ain't gonna cut you deep. I'm gonna cut you wide though, bitch. Man, look. Mm. That's the thing too, man. Like this fucking scamming shit, all our accounts digital, online, that shit just easier and easier for motherfuckers to take advantage. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. This is weird. I like that car. Here's my card. Card decline. What the fuck? What the fuck you mean decline? Sorry, sir. I think you need to call your bank. Call my bank. Hello, bank. Man, what the fuck going on with my money? Apparently, you have made an excessive withdrawal in the amount of $900. Bitch, no. Oh, but you about to make me pass out, man. Bruh. I feel lightheaded. All my money. Lord. All my money. I don't know what to do, guy. I'm about to punch a baby. And I'm about to kick this old lady down the stairs. Please. I'll be damned. Bruh. Yeah, man. You probably need some of this shit. Yeah. Cause that shit got my palms starting to get sweaty. What do you mean my bank account is in the negative? My shit not in the negative. Sir, it's saying here. Oh no. So this is what I'm learning more and more about the bank. I try to keep less money in my checking account. All my money is in my savings account and in my motherfucking. I got a secured credit card. They got I think it's like a $3,000 limit. But that's what my money at. Make sure my credit card always paid now. And keep my money. I don't even know if I got $500 in my checking account. And now, honestly, I'm trying to put more and more of my shit in stocks. Like every week, I'm trying to put $50 in some stocks somewhere. I'm not holding that shit in my bank account. I don't usually carry money on me either, and I had like $60 on me the other day. I'm like, so I forgot why I got some. I had got some money out, and then I didn't need to spend it, so I had $40, and then my girl, she gave me $20. Well, that shit felt kind of weird just having $60 on me. I'm like, why I got all these 20s in my pocket? Start it up, man. Send me the link. Yeah, start it up. Send me the link, man. Cause god damn. But that's it. Like the goddamn, if it's from your banking account, it's hard to get that shit back. If it's from your credit, if somebody steal your credit card, and man, them companies got insurance on that shit. But it's hard to get your own money back. YouTube it. Come on, YouTube University and Google that shit. You on in less than 10 minutes. If you do YouTube and Google, you'll figure that out in like 10 minutes. That's why I say, man, keep a minimum. I got all my bills come out of my fucking checking account. My gas bill, my water bill, my light bill, and honestly, I'm gonna get those switched over to my credit card because I got my cell phone bill and my internet bill. That shit just come off my credit card each month. So I really just try to keep enough in my account to cover my household bills because it's direct pay. But if I switch those over to my credit card, I don't and don't have no bills coming out of my checking account, man, I'll keep $10 in my checking account and just swipe my credit card, yo, because that checking, yo, your checking account, it's hard to get that money back. I never did, bro. I'm like one of the last people to ever have a motherfucking bank account, bro. I was like 30. I know I was in my 30s before I got a bank account. I'm probably like 30, 31 years old. I'm 42 now. I only had a bank account for like 10 years. And some people get bank accounts like when they parents set it up for them when they like 14, 15, or as soon as you get your first job or whatever. Motherfuckers get bank accounts with, nah, nigga. Like when I started working, motherfuckers still got paychecks. And so you can go to the fucking check cashier or to the liquor store or even some gas stations that cash your check, your payroll check for you. I used to go to the liquor store. All they do is just tell you to buy something. I go in there on payday. I just go buy a bottle of liquor, cash my check. I go to the convenience store. I did that shit forever, yo. Just, I never need no fucking bank until I moved up here. I swear it wasn't until I moved to PA, and then even my first couple of years, I just found this. There was this little quickie mart, and they'd cash payroll checks. So I ain't get a bank account until like 2013 or 2014 or something. Yeah, yeah. I'm almost positive you have to link your GoFundMe to some type of account. I mean, how else would you receive the funds when you needed to spend it? Unless, well, I mean, a lot of things don't necessarily have to connect directly to your banking account. You can connect it to a cash app like Cash App or PayPal or Venmo, like one of these monetary transaction applications that aren't technically a bank. And so like you can make hella transactions with just PayPal. Yeah, just pay if you link your PayPal account because it's when you I'm almost certain people are sending you money. It has to go somewhere. So there has to be some type of account connected to the GoFundMe, but does it necessarily have to be a traditional bank account? I really doubt it nowadays because so many people use different alternatives for exchanging money. And I trust PayPal. Like my my PlayStation Plus subscription is linked to my PayPal, and my Apple Music subscription is linked to my PayPal, and my Discord subscription is linked to my PayPal. So PayPal is pretty good. And like I said, I just try to link if all my paid services, I don't link them shits to my fucking bank account. I try to link them shits to everywhere else. Man, y'all getting on the credit card, or y'all getting on the PayPal account, something. Like now that you say this shit, I'm really today I might sit on the little apps and see if I can transfer the method of payment for well no, I guess I can just wait till like the next cycle of bills roll in because you get the little email alert Oh, do you want to pay the bill? Yeah, whatever. But I may uh change the primary method of payment for my bills. And like I say, put everything on my credit card now because I slowly been trying to do that shit. I forgot somebody some dude said that shit is like his like if somebody takes money out of your account, that's your responsibility. If someone tries to use your credit card or something like that, it's like that's not your responsibility. Yeah, but that's a big not okay moment. Like you say, motherfuckers work hard and bust their ass and try to do the right thing to provide a decent life for their family and young and loved ones, and to be able to enjoy themselves. And you know what I'm saying, just having a good work ethic. Most people don't have that shit, and so knowing that what I worked for and saved up for me and my family to be okay and secure in these troubling times where it just seems like the economy is spiraling downwards left and right, and you just take my little nest egg, my little rainy day money, you know what I'm saying, my little fun money, like what the fuck, bro? And all of it, not just take all of my shit, but put me in a fucking hole, like really? But then it's just like you gotta throw your hands up, like you say, like what the fuck can I do now? It's like, mm. Yeah, it ain't nothing else to do now but stay positive and keep your little shape. Cause if you ever see that motherfucker, you gotta poke his ass, man. You gotta poke. Yo, motherfucker, they told me you was the one. You little bitch. Son of a bitch. Mm-mm. Well, I hope your bank is able to square it out because they know your address and they can see the last time you actually made a in-person purchase with your banking card or debit card. You swiped it at the gas station and you purchased $28 worth of gas on X day at X time, and then all of a sudden in fucking North Dakota somewhere, somebody just ordered a brand new furniture set and a whole new set of tires and a window replacement and all this shit on your car, and it's just like, whoa, 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 that don't seem right. So hopefully they'll figure that shit out and be like, this nigga can't be in two places at one time. So y'all get my shit back, man. Whatever. I know it's the weekend, but y'all, by business hours on Monday, y'all need to have something figured out for me. I'm talking about at least have an email prepared or something. That's what I'm saying. Bitch, I wasn't in California. I was not. I got, how much proof do you need me to show you? I got phone records. I got uh, data tracking, triangulation of my position with my phone. I got bank statements that I was at the motherfucking gas station, at the Quickie Mart, and I went to the grocery store on that same day. How I go to the grocery store here in California on the same day? It's not possible. Just give me my money back. I've never been to Cali at all, ever. Tell them motherfuckers to give your money to. Hey man, I need an email or something saying that this issue has been resolved and my account standings have been placed back to their original order with no fault on my party. I don't need them to find out something. I need them to do something. I don't care what you know. I need action. Put my money back, and then tell me what happened. I don't need you to. I don't care what you find out. Put it back, and then you can tell me the story after that. Send me the email, and look, your account balance has been returned to its normal status. Thank you. Now, what happened? Apparently, a scammer. Okay, I'm already tired of listening. I'm just happy y'all resolved the issue. I'll leave y'all a 5-star review on your website. It's the best I can do. Y'all did y'all job. You know what I'm saying? Stop the criminals. I'm talking about a non-violent crime. This is very violent towards me. You have committed a violent act against me. Oh. Well, like I said, I hope today you can just kind of chill, relax. You know what I'm saying? Make the best of it. Don't spend that $100 all in one place. You know? That should have made me just. I just stand out. Well, I stay in the house all day anyway. But that should have made me really not want to go outside. He said that's my lunch money. That should have made me really not want to go outside. And plus, I don't even see how hard it would be for a bank to figure that shit out. You have your account with this this banking institution for X amount of years, with normal monthly fluctuations, a deposit here, money going out for bills, and it's just that normal shit for years and years, and then all of a sudden your shit just like and wipes itself clean, and then you call in complaining. Come on, man. It's not hard to tell. Figure that shit out, guys. Give me my shit back. Don't nobody do no shit like that. Don't nobody do no shit like that. I ain't gonna lie, it's been fucking super hot for the past couple of days. That's why I'm trying to get up in here early and get some good painting hours in before this studio turns to 100 fucking degrees in this bitch. Yeah, as long as I've been with y'all, man, y'all ain't never see me do no dramatic, drastic shit with my account like that. Then all of a sudden this shit happen. Y'all know that wasn't me. Is this shit even playing? Oh, you're not. I need both of those. Well, not really.
Most people think about UFOs or UFO sightings. Think about it in terms of our time. But what about the past or other generations? These missions are like entities that tell watched in amazement as a huge silver disc began spinning like a windmill and dancing about in the sky.
Yeah, driven by hate of other people.
In Africa.
Yes.
How do you get to that point? You know, how do you get to a point where, man, there's so many questions. How do you get to a point where that is the environment in which you live? I mean, you came from a peaceful village,
right? And
then all of a sudden there's these groups of rebel, militias, army groups that are just roaming all over the country. Like, did you have a national military? Was there some sort of structure there that could have prevented it, that wasn't working, or how did it get to that point?
Now, President Mobutu, the dictator for 32 years, wasn't completely bad. We had, working military.
Not completely there.
Right, it was not completely bad. And there is a reason, I think, if time allows it, I'll explain that.
Time allows, brother.
Right. So the thing is, when President Mobutu took over in 1967, and he's there, and he built a military. We had almost every branch you think of. I don't know if you're scoping the U.S., but there was a lot of
I'm sure the U.S. had an influence.
Of course, yeah. They installed them.
Oh, did they? In the 60s?
They did. Well, the CIA. He was a CIA guy. But the thing is, President Mobutu, was, I think, somehow a bureaucrat. He was a mix of everything. So the country was good. If you look at the 70s, for example, our economy was working. And I think the value of one zaire, which was our currency then, was good. People would buy things, it had value. But at the same time, when he began getting sick, which was, take it back to the mid-90s, all the way to when he leaves the country in May of '97, things were, in shambles. Things were collapsing. The generals became too corrupt. None of his sons would even help, assume power and get things together. So there was a vacuum because of his sickness, and that's when things started, collapsing one at a time. And also, I think there was a problem. He brought many of his family members and people from his tribe very close with the government, and that did not help anything. They were just there to eat the money, the embezzling funds. There was, very high, sense of nepotism. You got something, whether it was in the military or within government, if you're very close to Mobutu's family. And that was, that's the problem with Mobutu and his regimes. He was very nepotic. He embezzled funds. Some estimates have it between 4 billion to 15 billion. Some of the embezzled. He did. He was a very rich head of state. No one had that level of money. So he had his own records. But the thing is, when he began getting sick, things really went bad. We lost our military, we lost our government. Everything was, and that all began with a conference called Conférence Nationale Souveraine Exécutoire. And that conference was called to bring together, to lower tensions actually between his government and the opposition. And he did cry, and he said something that I think a lot of people don't pay attention to. He said, understand my emotions, when he was crying during his speech in that conference. He said, I think some people do not understand this country. They do not understand what's going on. They do not understand these external forces that are trying to destabilize the government. And if you think it's about democracy, wait until I leave. And we've paid a big price since he left.
What? If you think it's about democracy, wait until I leave.
Correct. And he was right.
The governmental structure there was less reliant on a system of government, a countrywide government, and it really relied on the head of state.
Correct.
The head of state really set the tone for everything.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's something I do think if I throw my head one time into the Congolese politics, I want to change it. I think that's wrong. We have a unitary system of government where everything is determined at the capital. The president says something and it's final. And he said it. He said, I'm a Bantu. And for us, the Bantu, we have kings. And what the king says is final.
Oh, so he thought he was royal, and...
Of course he was. The way he did his things, his dressing, his way of walking, his style of leadership in general was royal.
So Americans don't have a concept of, they don't understand, because they've never been through it. It's not their fault that they don't understand. They don't know what it's like to live under that, because everyone around here feels in this country is we have freedom and liberty, and we can say what we want and do what we want, blah, blah, blah. And that we can vote and we can make a difference and blah, we have a say. What the average citizen in from your country, do they have any say in anything that happened with their government?
Not at all.
Zero.
Well, so we do have a deep state, and I think our deep state is...
You guys have a deep state
too?
We do.
Well, all right.
It's not a military, it's not, it's nothing like that.
It's just a bunch of people who are pulling
It's a bunch of families with big money.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they run the show. They're the ones that determine who is going to be the next president. They do most of the deals. They're very connected to Western governments because they probably own mines or rebel groups.
They own rebel groups.
Correct, yes. And some of these families actually have their members of families, in parliament and in the Senate, earning big money. Tell me this, why is a Congolese senator doing nothing, getting paid $10,000 every month for what? Right? I walk every day. I work my ass off here in Spain every day.
You walked here today.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I go do my job, and every week I'm earning, it's not too much money if I ever get it to, the 4 weeks in a month. Why would a senator doing nothing in Kinshasa get paid $10,000 a month? How? For what? So you start to see these patterns, and there's something wrong with the government. But that's the establishment, that's the deep state that we have in the country. It's these powerful families with money that have been running the show since the 60s. These were people very close to the colonial government, the Belgians, and they've never been to the side of the Congolese people. You can't change them today. What you need is to replace these families if you really want that country to proceed. The whole idea of democracy is just, I think it's in theory, but nothing in practice, and they know it.
How is your government installed. So you said you have a parliament, you have a senate,
Correct.
and you have a president.
Hmm.
So
A very powerful president.
yes. So
Right.
do you vote?
We do vote, but your vote means nothing. So we did have elections in what was that, in January of 2019, right?
What kind of world?
So the president who was the president then,
Yeah.
Joseph Kabange Kabila, the son of a former rebel leader who overthrew Mobutu in '97, becomes the president in 2001 after his father is assassinated, and he's there for 19 years. So in 2019, the guy teams up with the son of a former opposition stronghold, Tshisekedi, and they strike a deal. It's like, listen, I'm going to step down because there's too much pressure. People want me out, but protect me, I'll let you in, and I'll be in charge of the defense. I'll watch the economy a little bit. I'll have my own spot in the country. You don't have to come and check anything there. I'll be as independent as I can. I'll watch the military. I'll watch everything, but you can just be there. So they strike a deal. He gets protection. He goes to a place called Kingakati, which is, I think, his own piece of land, a very huge piece of land. He's doing farming. He has animals. He's welcoming visitors who come as tourists. I think they pay him money. The government has no say on Kingakati. Reminds me of the British protectorate in Uganda. But he has his own, a world of its own kind. He's just having his own piece of land, doing everything. He's very safe there. Now we do have this puppet president who is basically doing nothing, because the guy still has a hold on the defense. He has a huge chunk of folks in parliament and in the Senate who support him. He's still very powerful, but he's an ex-president. He's also earning. He's getting too much money every month for doing nothing. I think he's crowned the senator for life. I don't know what that means. And he's there. So right, so we did have a deal in 2019. We did not have an election. It wasn't democratic at all. Two people made a deal, and one replaced the other, and the one who replaced is not the president right now. Tell me if that's democracy. Also, and you look at how the whole thing happened. Results. There is a guy that won by over 60%, and that's Martin Fayulu, who was supposed to be the president right now. He did not, because he was very opposed to the former president, and he said openly that he would want to see that guy in jail. He lost.
At 60%, he lost.
Yep. So there is.
Look, I know I live in America, and I was taught math here.
Right.
As far as I know, that's a win. 60%.
60% is a win. Correct. It's over 51%.
So how did the government explain that to the people?
Well,
How did they explain this guy got 60%? He's the new president.
right. But there's no reason to explain why should you explain it? Whole John Locke theory.
Oh my God, you're right.
Social contract theory.
Yeah.
I mean, those things don't work.
We're talking John Locke. Okay,
Yeah.
We're getting into
Yeah.
it. Okay.
I said who's the best.
We should go back to
Let's do it.
Let's revise this. Look at the second features of government.
Yeah.
Power has to come from people. That I think that's what Locke was trying to insist. But I do think in a country we are more of like we need the Leviathan, like Thomas Hobbes wrote in his famous he wrote like the papers he wrote. But to be honest, I do think when you talk about democracy in our country, it's a complete lie. There is no democracy there, and people know it. Mobutu said, "We are Bantu," right? And for the Bantu, what the king says is final. Now, let me, if you guys can allow me, let me just break that a little bit.
You can do whatever you want.
We are mostly Bantu in Congo, the ethnic group.
Okay.
We are subdivided into tribes. I belong to the Lega. The Lega people, are a decentralized society. Each group has, within the Lega has its own king. My mom is from, a royal family. It's, one of the Lega groups, they had a king, and that's where the mom comes from. Now, that for a long time. And I usually say this, nothing racist. These days it's very hard to say something, but I think, I'm in a position to say this.
You can't be racist.
There is something wrong. There's something wrong with, I think, our society. It's very easy to point fingers at the leadership, but I also think the society has something to do with that.
Like a responsibility.
A responsibility. If you look at, let's say, England, for example, in 1215, these guys were going to the king and they're like, you gotta sign the Magna Carta, we have to share power. Right?
Right.
that was from the House of Commons. These people were like, yeah, the king doesn't have to have all these powers. We have to share. There has to be a deal, and they got it. That was in 1215. These guys were trying to understand that, at least it cannot be an absolute monarchy. Things don't work like that. People need to have some level of control over whoever is in charge of them. Now, in many of these African countries, including my own country, people still live in that mentality of whoever is a leader, is that powerful, and whatever he says then have to be questioned. Something is wrong with that. So there is, I think, an issue of political maturity. People are okay with, once someone has assumed power, well, he's there. They don't question it. It's not like in the US here, if something goes wrong, people are like, no, that is wrong. If you look at the Declaration of Independence and look at the language in it, people are complaining about almost anything, and you cannot tax us if we're not represented. Now, if you can just use that very example, in Eastern Congo, in Bukavu, in Uvira, in Goma, in Kisangani, let's go down to Lubumbashi. All these places, people are paying taxes, and these taxes are going all the way to Kinshasa.
Yeah.
About 2,000 kilometers away, if I'm accurate. But the thing is, why would you be paying taxes and you send the taxes to the capital city and they're doing things, whether it's infrastructure, anything, and there is nothing being done locally?
Right.
It's simple. Federalize the government, give more powers to local, governments, bring the government closer to the people. I strongly believe in small governments, and then eliminate things like the president appointing a governor of a province. Some provinces are bigger than the state of Pennsylvania. How would you let one person, appoint a governor of Pennsylvania? Would you do that here?
No.
Right. So these people have to be elected. Then you go down to collectivities. Many of these collectivities are led by kings or chiefs, depending on what tribe lives in that area. Give power to these people. Let them tax people, and let that money help build infrastructure. We spoke the other day. There is no road or railway system that connects Bukavu, Kisangani, Lubumbashi direct to the capital city, Kinshasa. Something is wrong. People grow. They're 80, they die without ever visiting the capital city. Because the only way you do that is pay, a ticket and fly to the capital within your own country. Would you think that's really normal? It's not. It's not.
Okay. Okay. Well, we are off to a great start. Wow. It's so crazy to hear you speak about the country you came from.
Right.
And
as a U.S. citizen now.
As a U.S. citizen now.
Right.
And so I love doing this podcast because a lot of times Marky will bring on guests that I've never met. And, so for me, it's the first time getting to meet somebody. And, in the first 20 minutes we've been doing this, you mentioned John Locke, the Magna Carta. You're a smart guy. This is going to be so much fun getting to know you a little bit more.
Right.
Because this isn't, so many people when they talk about politics and reforming politics, whether it be in America or abroad or anywhere else, it's based on this ideal of what it can be in the future based on this pie-in-the-sky idea of what I have. Mm-hmm. And what you're saying is, no, we have a blueprint for how things should be done. Just look back at history, look at the Declaration of Independence,
right.
Look at the structure for which we fought, here in America, we fought against the military superpower when we were basically farmers.
That's right.
And we carved a country out of wilderness. And here we are 250 years later, and it almost kind of feels like we're just reverting back to what it used to be. It feels like we're starting to make decisions. You mentioned somebody who's been in power since the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds a lot like our leader. You mentioned somebody who is powerfully passing money on down to their family.
Right.
Starting to sound really familiar. It's so strange to me to hear, the ex-president still wields a lot of power over the way the system is done, and you look at our current president and his party's predecessor and how much influence he still wields over decisions that are being made. It's very interesting to hear the similarities and to look at what you came from, mm-hmm. and what anybody listening to this will say, yeah, that's not good, and we are very quickly marching right towards that.
Now there are people that say his assessment is wildly incorrect.
It's not. It's not. Well, I hope I don't get
There
fired
was
on
no-
those
it was-
friends for saying this, but I think
was
he's
so- that was
right
awesome.
on spot.
You think so? Because you have perspective. You came, like I said before, Americans don't have any concept of like what the people in your
I'll
country
take it a
do.
step further. Even down to
Oh, now we're gonna get in trouble.
Even down to you had a peaceful village,
Right.
and essentially crime was on the rise.
Right,
The borders between countries were starting to dissolve,
right.
and people were moving without being documented. And it just, I hear your story, and it's like, oh man, it feels like a warning
Mm-hmm.
almost.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people in the U.S. here do not appreciate how much this country has come. How far this country has come from, and some of the good that got this country where it is right now. Now you've just given very good examples. I strongly believe that a former president has a role to play, but it's a peaceful one.
Mm-hmm.
I think former leaders, regardless of the position, have to be apolitical. They do not have to be that political. But, without mentioning names, I think some people have left office and become increasingly very powerful.
In America.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In the U.S. And you did mention of the current president. He's been in Washington for over 40 years.
40-something years, yeah.
Something is wrong with that. Now when I was talking about the establishments, these families, powerful families in the Congo, not different from the famous Bidens, not really different. You do have the current Minister of Defense, Jean-Pierre Bemba. He was just appointed by the president as the Minister of Defense. But his family goes back to, I think, the 60s or 50s. His father, Bemba Salona, was one of the richest people in Congo. He owned mines. He sold, all kinds of precious minerals to the West. He was making big money.
Mm-hmm.
His son, up to today, is still a very powerful person. This is the guy who used his own money, invested it to create a militia that saw a lot of innocent Congolese people die, vying for power. He was sent to the ICC. He was sentenced. He was in jail for, I believe, more than 10 years. Came out, and is again in government.
How does that happen?
Corruption. I think there are people who think they know better than anybody else, and they're the ones who have to always be there. But you start to see the pattern. So this is a son of a very rich, wealthy person who always died, but his son is still very powerful. He's still in government. 60 years later, what is he doing now? You mean the country lacks other people who can replace him? What about accountability for what he did, in the 2006 elections?
I find it's very bizarre to me that if you have enough money, you can start up your own army,
Oh my God.
kill innocent people in your own country, go to jail for 10 years,
And so come back
and then come back
and be the Minister of Defense.
to defend the country of the people that you murdered.
Right.
What the fuck?
It's sick. But that's the reality. So
Sorry, Ushu, we're just sensitive Americans.
So,
Right.
we could go on about this forever and ever, but I want to get back to you a little bit.
right.
So we've got you and your father, your family. So you said your mother was killed
My
when,
mother was killed, yeah. She was
in the
pregnant.
village?
Yeah.
and
The night they came,
Yeah. She was guillotined.
she was guillotined.
She was
They brought
macheted.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, she was
Is that what
basically
is that what,
killed with a machete.
man.
Yeah.
with your family there?
Yeah, actually not just her, but the story is sad, but she did not die alone. I think one of her aunties was living, those traditional things when a woman is pregnant, like she has to live in her own room. As my mom was living by herself in a room, and one of the sisters, and they were both killed. We narrowly survived.
From a militia paid for by a rich person.
By a rich person, could be a parliamentarian, could be a senator somewhere in Kinshasa, making big money. With $3,000, you can make a damage. You can do a lot of damage in the country.
For $3,000.
As long as you have the AK-47, get 10 of them. You got a group of 10 people.
And that's all it takes.
Turn into a gangster, right? You kill a couple of people.
Do
You
people
control a mine. It's just a month. You sell a little bit of gold. You buy more guns. You now have 20, right? So with time, within a year, you're growing. Your bank account is growing fat, and you know what I mean. Next time you're driving, and it gets worse.
Okay, I'm going to ask you kind of off.
Have you heard the questions I've asked over the last 48.
In the Congo, so in your village, was there anybody with a firearm that could defend the village?
No. Well, sometimes,
Is that a crazy question?
Sometimes a joke that maybe if we do have the Second Amendment in Congo and everyone is able to carry a gun, the story can change, you know?
So you don't have nobody.
There's no way to protect
It's
yourself.
not a normal thing
No.
for a private citizen to own a weapon.
No way. Even in Uganda, we're looking at 10 years ago, President Museveni did send troops to Karamoja region to disarm the Karimachong people. The Karimachong, they live a nomadic lifestyle and they own a lot of guns to protect their cows from, cattle rustlers from, Kenya. Most of the Pokot, the Turkana who come and steal their cattle. Now, they had guns, but President Museveni sent troops there, and it was voluntary disarmament. And if you refuse to offer a gun, it would be forceful. So a lot of them came
So
with
it's
their
not
guns.
voluntary.
It wasn't. These people wanted to have their guns because that's how they protect their cattle, their cows, and they needed, to have firearms. But the government pulled the firearms from them. So no, in many African countries, you can't own your own firearm. Yeah, the government is so much, I think fearful of any uprising of people, having access to, weapons.
So, if I can make an assessment from what you just said,
right,
is that whenever the government, in your experience,
mm-hmm.
when the government comes to take your ways of defending yourself, that's not a good thing.
Well, it's not a good thing, but again, I think I go back to what I did mention before: political maturity.
Okay.
And when I see some of these crazy people,
Well, let's define crazy. What's their?
well, many of these people working for organizations and claiming they're pushing for democracy in Africa,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
it's, from the West,
Yeah.
whether it's countries in Europe or here in the US who are pushing for democracy in Africa, they do not. That's one thing they don't mention. You're going to tell people whose countries are like 50 years old since independence, 60 years old since independence, oh, you need to have a democracy. But these are people who still have the idea of a Leviathan, that big, powerful leader that makes decisions for them. So you're prematurely pushing for democracy into people who are not politically mature enough to understand what democracy is.
Well, they've never lived in a country or a worldview where they're
They
self-reliant.
don't question the government.
Yeah.
They don't
They
question
don't know how to make
anything.
decisions.
Right.
They just do what they're told.
Yeah.
And that's not because they're stupid. They were just never taught it.
Correct. It's not because they were stupid,
Yeah.
and it's not racist
They're
to
ignorant.
say this, but yeah, they're just people who are politically immature, and there is something wrong with that.
And I'm saying that they're not educated on it the same way I'm not educated on the experiences of the Congo.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So if I don't
It's just a
know,
worldview they don't understand. They have no
Yeah.
example.
They do not have an example of it.
Yeah.
So stop pushing for it because you're just making things worse.
so okay, so let's just, it's a lot.
Right.
So I'm just bear with me.
Right.
You then are making your way to a settlement. You get to the settlement. You and the rest of your family.
Right.
For people who don't understand, people who have families,
Mm-hmm.
can you kind of relate to me, like what you see, what you hear, what you smell, or do you not know, or do you not remember any of that?
So
Just
people
say-
that do not have family.
Yeah, people who do have family, because I think for an individual to say, oh, that's terrible,
Mm-hmm.
but for an individual who has a wife and children,
Right.
I think it hits a little bit differently what you went through. Does that make sense?
Right.
Because they worry about soccer practices, and I'm saying suburbia. They worry about soccer practices and whether or not their kid has the right outfit on for school. I don't think they understand the scope and the depth of what people that don't live in America have to go through. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if you can maybe relate to like what the environment was at this settlement with 1.2 million people,
Yeah.
what was that atmosphere like? Like what was the Was it forest? Was it, what was it? And what were the people like? And where were they from? And
Mhm.
how long were you there?
Right. So for my family, we lived there close to about 12 years and a couple of months.
You lived 12 years in a settlement.
Yes.
Okay.
In settlement.
So from the ages of 3 to 15?
Around
4 to
yeah,
16,
around
right?
that, yeah. So it's, I think how I try to sum up the life in the settlement is, I think, poverty, misery, and hopelessness.
For 12 years.
For 12 years, yeah. I had no shoes. Sometimes you had no soap. I remember me and my brother would go around checking in people's bathrooms, basically, to see if there's a remaining piece of soap that would use to wash our uniforms. That's how it was. You get sometimes we slept hungry and we only had like corn. You roast it and break it into 3, and my father gets a piece, I get a piece, and we drink water and we drink, sleep. Extreme poverty. People have no jobs there. People have nothing. And sometimes, before I actually finish that point, when I see people like Bill Gates with money, talking about, Planned, Parenthood or something, sending birth control and all those things. Well, for you, the guy who claims to have created a company that makes computers, why not, start, maybe a branch of you, just open up, a small company there that makes computers that people can be hired. Why don't you do things that actually impact the local economies? Why invest in things that don't make any sense? Now, I'm saying that because I know how difficult it is to live in a place where you have no work, basically. At my age, I'm 28. I just turned 28.
You're 28?
Yeah.
You're only 28.
I'm 28. Now, at my age, it would be very difficult for me to find a job right now. People would consider me some young boy.
Are you saying in the Congo or here?
Well, it's in the Congo, in Uganda, in the refugee camp where I came from, in the refugee settlement. Yeah, the same thing. So if I was there right now, because I had finished my education, my secondary education, I would be teaching at a primary school, and I'd be making about $100 every month. $100 every month.
You're making $1,200 a year.
Right. Yeah. Don't be surprised. That's the truth.
That's like one new iPhone in America.
And maybe I would be lucky among the many because I was doing well in school, so I was connected to the principals. People knew me around. I would easily find a job. I would teach, and that's how I survived. Well,
You can answer your phone.
no, that's my dad. So that's how difficult it was. Where extreme poverty was the order of the day, misery and hopelessness, not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. So
Is that, when you were getting your education there in the camp, is that where you began to take on this knowledge of, like we said, John Locke, the Magna Carta, the Declaration of Independence?
Yeah.
Or is that later in life?
that's later. I do think I have some writings, things that I wrote when I was a little boy. Then I don't know what I was writing, but I think I had a different view. I think I strongly believe in very powerful leaders. So I was more with Thomas Hobbes and Leviathan. That was when I came here. I went to college, where I kept my mouth shut.
So when did you come here?
So we came here in 2015.
Okay.
But yeah, so just to get the story back a little bit, we get in the refugee camp. We're there for as long as my father goes through surgeries. We had a lot of difficulties. My father went to school. We come from a very educated Catholic family. It was very hard for us to live there. We had some land. There was enough land for almost everyone then because the refugee population was very small.
Mm-hmm.
But my father wasn't used to. He wasn't a farmer, so growing crops was a little difficult. We struggled. Then in 2000, I think in 2011, that's when I received a letter from the UN, and they said, well, we're trying to help out families that have been in the refugee camp for long to get them to the third country of asylum.
A third country.
Country of asylum.
Oh, country of asylum, okay.
Yeah, so I was a little bit excited. Like, okay, where? France? Italy?
Yeah.
The US? Australia? Where? We had no choice. Whatever they told us we're going, we'll just be, yeah, thank you. Because, we had been there for a long time, and the poverty and the misery and the hopelessness was just rampant, that we're like, yeah, anything goes, anything that comes, we're okay with it.
Before you continue with the UN thing, or
Right.
trying to resettle you or get you somewhere to go.
Mhm.
For people who don't understand, I'm assuming that in a settlement camp, there's not a lot of antidepressants
No,
medicine
No.
for mental health.
right.
So when you say misery and hopelessness, what would you do, or what would other people do?
People drank vodka.
Oh, but they had a lot of vodka.
We had local brews. People drink a lot.
Oh, they were making like potato vodka, or like, what were they doing? How would they make the vodka?
There is one we get from corn.
Oh, yeah, corn, okay.
From bananas. Yeah, there's one that they make from corn. The Acholi people of northern Uganda and South Sudan, they call it boom. My father used to drink that a lot. It's not as strong. I think it has low ABV in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still alcohol. It gets you drunk. And
So was there a lot of people who would just do that?
yeah, well, that's what people did. Like, I mean, my father was drinking a lot.
At the time.
To cope, with the depression and everything that you're saying. Many of the fathers did drink. Very few people smoke some pot to get high, but also very few smoke. I think a lot of people smoke in the US than there, but we grow the tobacco. We grow a lot of tobacco. We don't smoke it, But there's a lot of drinking. Because
Really?
even when I visited Uganda, many of the young people in my age were busy drinking.
So was there any? Usually alcohol is like this thing. I tell people because I don't drink either,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't drink. You and I talked about that. There's two reasons to drink.
Right.
One of them is to celebrate.
Okay.
The other one is because you're sad. Was there ever celebratory drinking?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
We drink a lot on. Not me, but
Yeah.
on weddings.
Mm-hmm.
We drink a lot on.
A lot.
Yeah, like
A lot.
Yeah, alcohol
Okay.
is there, and people drink and they talk French. Yeah.
Is French your native language?
Even the ones that never went to school will speak French after they drink.
Oh, so it's like they get a couple of
Yeah.
like, je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, it gets there.
Parlez-vous français?
Right.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Right.
Is that it? Yeah.
Right.
Is that your native language that you grew up with?
French?
Yeah.
No. I grew up speaking Swahili.
Okay.
And yeah, just for the record, I speak about 7 languages. I'm crazy.
Well, rattle them up. What do you
What do you speak?
So, besides English, I speak French. I also speak Lingala, which is the second most spoken national language in Congo. We do have 5 national languages.
Wow.
Then I speak Nyarwanda. I speak Runyoro. I speak Arabichuba from South Sudan. It's a dialect of Arabic that they speak in the Black Sudan in the south. What else do I speak? Yeah.
You're confused about how many languages you speak, and I'm confused about, do I speak English?
Because I mean, every time I meet people and they speak language, I'm like, yeah, let's get into it. I just switch. Yeah. Even Spanish now, I'm like getting great.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Okay, back to the UN settlement stuff.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get the tone of what it would be in misery. That's just why I wanted to let people understand.
And I think that was very important because people drink to cope. People drink to cope. That's the point that I was trying to bring home. People drink to cope. There's just too much misery, hopelessness, and you don't know what's coming tomorrow. There were 2 things in the refugee camp. You either went to an outside country, come to the US, Canada, or Australia, or any other country in Europe, be successful in education, finish your secondary education, get a scholarship with the UN, and go to a university that has a reputation, like Makerere in Uganda, finish and come back and do something else. But besides the 2, there was nothing else. You'd just be a spoiled young boy who is drinking and abusing drugs, maybe, and be in the village for the rest of your life until you die.
All right, pull in a little bit closer. You, as a human.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, now you're good. Okay, get me to the when you leave or the
resettlement.
The process of that.
The process now. So we are called. We receive this letter, and it's very brief, very shallow. Not a lot of details in it, but like you have an interview. It's usually a preliminary interview. That's the first time you're meeting an officer. They ask you questions about your own security, what you think it's important for them to help you out. It's a little bit tricky. They're like, yeah, we want to help you, but again, you have to prove that you actually deserve that help. So
You
my
have to
father.
prove that you deserve the help.
Right, somehow, yes. I mean, well, you have to go through the interview. You have
Yeah,
to
it's
send
almost
the
like you have to
stuff.
like write an essay. It's
Right,
like, tell
kind
us
of.
why we should help you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you have to prove that actually you think your life is in danger, and maybe if they brought you to the U.S. or they took you to Canada or Australia or anywhere else, that would help you. So, yeah, there is a little bit of that defense that you have to make. But it's very painful because once you get into the resettlement process, changes your life by 360 degrees.
That brings you back to where you were, 180, right?
Right.
Okay. Right? 360 brings you back.
180.
Yeah, 180.
Okay. So yeah, it just rotates around, and the reason is because maybe you've been there for a long time, you had no hopes, and now they're calling you, and you have to be super careful because the thing is they look for consistency. Let's say, for example, me and my dad and my young brother, they're asking very sensitive questions. They may even ask about my grandfather. It's not the names or the dates or anything. They're like, are you the right person or it's somebody else?
Oh, because there's no like identifications. There's
No,
no.
we don't have any records. I don't have my my birth certificate from the Congo.
Yeah.
Got lost. We
ran
have
away in the
nothing.
middle of the night,
Yeah. And you have cockroaches. You have everything. If you do have a little bit of documents in the refugee camp because of the way the housing is, they get eaten up by the termites and the cockroaches and everything. You lose all the documents. There's just no way to preserve your documents there. Most of the housing is temporary. It's semi-permanent if you try your best. Well, that's about it. Now, we start going through the process. We do have a couple of interviews in 2011, 2012, maybe a little bit, 2013. Almost had nothing. 2014 again, it comes back. 14 we tried to finish things up. And in 2015 we have medical checkups. We have the U.S. cultural orientation, which takes 1 week. They brief you about life in the U.S., how to plan for money and things like that. And
That was a 4-year process.
Yes.
4-year process. And that's when I tell people you can't just let people cross the border in the South.
You're very popular today.
I don't know who is. I don't know what they're looking for me. I don't think it's for anything.
Is it
but-
the UN?
No, it's not the UN. They would never call me.
Fingers crossed.
You never know.
Okay, so 4-year process.
4-year process.
Yeah.
And what I was just saying is you can't let people cross the border in the South and just come in. I mean, to me, it's a little painful because I know that, there's nothing wrong with going through a process. We're not happy people. We're sleeping hungry for the 4 years. We persevered. We understood that this country is trying to help us. This is not our country. We're trying to get some help. Be peaceful. Try to be respectful and just let the process play out. So if you look at our life in the refugee camp and how patient we are, I would expect the same patience from anyone. So we finished everything. I think we had the last, not an interview, but something in like September, October, November, and in December. I received a call from my dad, and it's like, we've received the final letter confirming our travel to the U.S. and you should come back and say goodbye to your friends, and we should be leaving for the capital city in 2 weeks. So I was at school. I had just finished my last national exam paper, and I boarded to go home that same. I think it was on Friday, so that weekend I went back home, and the rest of the story. Went to Kampala. It was raining heavily. We got stuck on the roads. The roads were bad. At least they've constructed them now. And we were at the hotel for, I believe, a week. And after that, we drove to the airport. And, we came. We arrived in Scranton. It was on December 10th, 2015. And since then, we've been here.
So you got here when you were 21, 20?
I think it was 20, yeah. So the date's probably, a little messed up in the middle.
Why Scranton?
We had no choice. It wasn't asked to choose where to go. The question usually they ask is, do you have any friends or family that lives in the U.S. somewhere? And if you say yes, they try to take you close to whoever you say. If you say no, like in our case, we had no one.
They said you to Scranton.
Yeah, they were like,
We're
yeah.
making fun because we're from here.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, Scranton. But Scranton was good.
It's because we're all really nice people and we're welcoming about everybody.
Right.
Very much so.
There's probably something special about Scranton. You know?
Probably.
Yeah. You know, if Joe is from here, just know
Yeah.
there's something special about Scranton.
If Joe is from here?
Yeah.
He said Joe. Meet Brandon. No, I'm kidding. So what? So that was your first plane ride?
Yes, that was the first plane ride. We flew from Entebbe in Uganda to Amsterdam. I'll never forget.
Oh, yeah, because they got drugs there.
We got stuck in Amsterdam for I think 7 hours. Then we boarded another plane for JFK. And then one of the Border Patrol folks drove us down to the airport. And I think there was a caseworker from Catholic Social Services that then brought us to